successful immigrants who changed the course of history, right? But on the other hand, we have poverty, hunger, and exclusion, unsuccessful immigrants whose lives stand in a limbo. For every immigrant that makes it, many, many more find their lives destroyed. With over 60 million migrants on the move today, migration and minority inclusion are among the biggest issues facing our world in this century. Only 5% of migrants are able to use their education and skill set from back home to find proper employment. Many get lost working as cooks, drivers, gardeners, construction workers. But given a proper skill set and inclusion, migrants can be an asset to any society. They can create billions of dollars for their societies, becoming economic and social powerhouses. Now, these are all great theoretical lessons, things I debated only in the classroom. But all of that changed last year when I started Modern Migrants, an aid organization to digitally upskill migrant and minority professionals. We've had significant success with many graduates from our programs, mentors around the world, and our voice being heard as far as the United Nations. But more importantly, it has helped me reflect on my journey, what I set out to do, and the lessons that I learned along the way. You see, when I was younger, I changed my chosen career path practically every single day. When I was 12, I wanted to be a psychologist. I quickly realized that I didn't even know how to spell that word. When I was 9, I wanted to be an architect. Well, I took a couple math classes and realized that I don't like geometry all that much. And of course, when I was 6, I wanted to be a famous singer. I think you'd all prefer if I didn't demonstrate why I decided against that. But what I certainly did not think was that I would be standing here in front of all of you today as an advocate for migrants and minorities. So that brings me to lesson number 1. Everything is a learning opportunity. You see, I go to a boarding school in the US called Milton Academy. So in March of 2020, when I was sent back home because of COVID, my life changed completely, and I was dismayed, to say the least. Back home, the thought of sharing a room with my irritating brother once again was really not very appealing to me. But as all of my classes started to be on Zoom, I quickly realized that the traditional industries we think of today will never be the same, and in fact, have been changing for a while. Why go to the grocery store to pick up your groceries when you could get them delivered to your home with just a click of a button? When was the last time you saw a major company advertising in a newspaper and not on your Facebook page? How many people do you know currently taking an online class or two, or maybe even attending online college? Everything was going digital, and COVID was only accelerating that. With people getting used to the ease and efficiency of the new normal, I knew that even once COVID was over, entire industries would never again be the same. But coming back to Hong Kong did something else too. It brought back the memories of my childhood. I remember going to the Gurdwara and the Hindu temple every weekend, playing with migrant and minority kids who looked just like me. But when our time together was over, they went back home to far fewer opportunities and far fewer privileges than me. Hong Kong prides itself on being a meritocracy, but even there, growing up as a minority kid with first-generation migrant parents was not easy. Slowly, these two concepts melded together in my head, and Modern Migrants was born. But of course, I couldn't do this alone. I needed advice, and I needed help. So this brings me to lesson number 2. It takes a village. I decided to enlist experienced migrant mentors who were skilled in their field and willing to help us not only with our curriculum, but also to guide our program participants and to help them take flight. We considered which industries were changing the most and decided to retrain our young professionals in 6 key areas: digital marketing, art, education, healthcare, and media. We began by hosting Zoom workshops, each led by a mentor. We sent hundreds of emails to universities asking for help and received amazing free courses for our participants. We lobbied with employers of the future such as Google, Amazon, and Facebook for internships for our participants. I'm thrilled to say that many students have graduated from our program today, and many of them have even started their own businesses. However, after a few good months, I felt the buzz start to fade. Our program participants were feeling great about themselves, but still not getting any jobs. That's when I realized that there was a deeper issue. I decided to petition the Hong Kong government and ask for policy changes. However, my initial efforts, well, they failed miserably. Busy dealing with COVID, the Hong Kong government refused to take my 17-year-old self seriously. And this setback taught me lesson number 3: be creative and be persistent. Instead of lobbying directly with the government, I instead organized a walk for migrants. I began cold calling newspapers and telling them about our efforts. To this day, I'm amazed that so many of them took up writing about the cause. And finally, I got a call from the Hong Kong Equal Opportunities Commission. They wanted me to come in and help them draft policy on migrant and minority inclusion in the workforce. Today, I'm honored to call them my friends and even my social media partners. I was amazed to see a full house waiting to hear my perspective and to dive right in. And from there on, there was no going back for any of us. Which brings me to lesson number 4: go big or go home. I realized that helping migrants and minorities in Hong Kong was wonderful, but there were millions of more migrants who needed our help around the world. Whether in Greece or Mexico or now Afghanistan, migrants around the world are marginalized and excluded. I needed a global network. Last summer, I was invited to speak at the United Nations Youth Assembly. It was amazing to brainstorm my ideas with over 300 delegates from 55 countries. Through this network, I'm proud to say that I've been able to expand the Modern Migrants program far beyond Hong Kong. And this brings me to my final lesson. Find yourself, and you will have nothing to be afraid of. You see, in migrants, I saw my own reflection. In their families, I saw my family struggle. And well, as for my community, today we are well on our way to becoming productive and empowered parts of our society. Our budding journalists know how to self-publish on blogs or start their own writing sites if need be. Our participants going into the creative arts know how to create company logos digitally or how to edit videos for products. Our future educators know how to tailor curriculums for online classes and how to interact with students using apps such as Schoology and Google Classroom. And finally, I love to brag about my own participants instead of them, so I'll share a few examples. Former cook Gopal created a food delivery portal. Painter Abisha set up a digital art gallery where she could sell her own prints and artworks. And my very first participant, Sumitra, is now the owner of a thriving online coaching center. Sometimes, when I look back at my journey, I'm amazed and frankly shocked at how much I've changed as a person. I used to be so shy and quiet, content in my own world of books in middle school. How did I get the courage to take up a cause so explosive, to fight a battle so public? To be honest with you, at the start of my modern migrants journey, I was still terrified. But seeing my participants' successes and knowing that I've been able to help them and to help their families fills me with hope and inspires me to continue fighting this social battle every single day that I wake up. Thank you.